guys, this is Thinking About Morality, and this is going to be my 4th episode, I believe. And on this episode, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the polarization of America. Now, I'm currently an American resident. I live over in the States, and America has been going through a huge change recently, and that change has been what a lot of people have been identifying as this polarization. And now, what is polarization? Well, it's like almost two opposites coexisting with one another. And polarization is not really just opposites existing, but to the level and the degree, the magnitude that they exist in. A lot of people say that America is it's always been polar. There are different sides, but it's being more polar. It's getting more opposite. Things are getting more. Magnitude of the differences is increasing. And this polarization, really, it's mostly looked through just a political eye, or political view, I guess you could say. Really, the left and the right. A lot of people are saying that the right's going further to the right, basically meaning that their ideals are more, further away from the bell curve, and the right's saying that the left's going further to the left, further away from the bell curve. And whether or not one of those may be true, I definitely would agree that we're becoming more polarized as a nation. And one of the examples I really see of this is the abortion argument. Now, the famous Roe v. Wade case back in '49 is, it changed a lot. It really did. Legalization of abortion was, that really is a crazy landmark in our history. And the reason why I think that America is being polarized and why abortion legalization really supports that is because you have two very distinct sides. You have the pro-choice, usually associated with the left, and the pro-life, usually associated with the right, or Republicans. But the notion of abortion is kind of crazy. You just have to think just purely what each argument entails. Pro-life entails that this person is living inside a mother, is real, alive, has humanity, has everything else attached to that. It has rights, it deserves to live, lots of things like that. And then there's the left, the pro-choice, usually associated with the Democratic side, that's saying, it's just cells. It's just the life, the value of this clump of cells, as they call it, the fetus, and the fetus being the, medicinal, term, just for medical reasons, is just, its life it's really determined by the mother. And these two very different ideas is what I think is a very polarizing idea. One side thinking that this clump of cells is a human, and the other side not. And, determining whether something has humanity or not is, that's a big deal. That really is a big deal. And it's not something to just wipe over and, just to ignore. I think that because of these two abstract, totally opposite polar ideas, it polarizes America. You see, I just finished reading a book last year for AP Lang. It was called The Murder of Dr. George Tiller. It's called The Wichita Divide, and it was about the murder of Dr. George Tiller, who is actually an abortion doctor who was murdered by this far-right activist who thought, if this person is going to kill, because what was his name? I'm forgetting now, but the murderer is far-right, super, he's kind of an odd guy. He almost seemed like something was a little tweaked in his mind. You can see that just the way he treated his family, because they went through that in the book. But anyways, I'm getting off topic here. This man, the murderer who murdered Dr. George Tiller, he basically justified his murdering as he was saving lives. every day, Dr. George Tiller would go into his abortion clinic, and he would, from his point of view, murder lives. And he justified killing this doctor because he would be saving lives. And I don't know, the logic is, it's really hard to think through if that should be legal or not. Killing anybody is wrong, but what about the situation where police have to kill terrorists? Terrorists they're a threat to other people's lives, just like how Dr. Tiller, for this person's their view was, he's going to be murdering lives, so I have to stop him. And maybe the first step is obviously take legality, sort of I guess domestic sort of way to change it, just by using your voice and your rhetoric, I guess, to change their opinion. But obviously this didn't work, because Dr. George Tiller was still an avid practitioner. He always was, even though he had many opposition. I believe he was the only Wichita, he was the only abortion clinic somewhere, it must have been around, I'm saying like 1970 now, I don't really know, I'm trying to think, but I think he was the only abortion doctor in he was Kansas, that's what it was. I believe it was Kansas. But anyways, he was the only abortion provider, so he had a lot of backlash. And he got death threats, he got murdered eventually, which is, the sad thing. And I don't know, and in the book, you learned a lot about, he put a lot of his profits from his abortion business, it is a business, there's no doubt denying that, but he put a lot of his profits back into his business, and that was really not into his business being, more infrastructure and stuff like that, but it was really into his protection. The book went into detail about how he had to buy he bought an armored car, he bought security gates around his house, around his office, around everything. Security cameras, he had to be super protected just because he had all these threats on him. And it's crazy. This polarization where one person feels like they have to kill another person because of actions they're doing, then that's crazy. And the thing is, it's not crazy that it happened, because this could just be one isolated scenario, but a lot of people have that viewpoint. It's a scary thing to see, having to end one person's life to save another person's life. That's a huge moral decision. And I think it leads to the polarization in our system. Now we can talk about, let's talk about this new topic, this new arisen Black Lives Matters. Let's see, it's, today is June, maybe 20-something, doesn't matter. But this is a few weeks after, three or four, maybe less than that, of the murder of Mr. George Floyd. Now, if you don't know the story, George Floyd brought an fake bill, and he was trying to pay with this fake bill at a restaurant, and this police after arrested him, and supposedly he was resisting arrest, and the cop had his knee on his neck for around, I think it was around 7 to 8 minutes. I believe it was 8 minutes. And he ended up dying. Mr. George Floyd, he ended up dying. And, this was thought to be, just as bad as lynching. Some person was just targeting this man because of his skin tone. And that skin tone being African American. Mr. George Floyd was a black American. He was African American. And just to be clear, George Floyd was not a model citizen. He was been arrested many times. He held some lady at knife point and as a hostage. He was no model citizen whatsoever. But did he deserve to die? Did he deserve to get murdered? No. Did he deserve to die? That's obviously out of my expertise. I think that's really up to some higher deity like God. He should really be deciding whether Mr. George Floyd is guilty or not of his previous crimes, and whether, I don't know if him dying is not justified, but maybe him getting into heaven or hell is totally another discussion. But was he really this big victim of racism? That's systemic racism. That has been it's been a huge new topic now. Like, is America systemically racist? Is America racist? And here's where we get into another huge polarization that I want to talk about. This one side, usually associated with the left. Yes, America is racist. There are systemic racisms that we have. It's in our system. It's just, some of it's just the aftermath of, Jim Crow laws, slavery, etc. And then you have the right saying that, no, we're not racist at all. There's just few individual incidents where racism, of course, will happen. I think that just differences cause some sort of disagreement, but there are obviously individuals who are racist, but that doesn't mean that, our system, the American system, is racist. Now, I don't know, this either or of being racist or not, and some people say we're racist, and some people say, and I'm talking me as in America, is racist, and some people say we're not racist. So these two are just totally opposite ideas, and if either is true, then one side is completely wrong, and they're saying a lot, and this is another argument that just brings huge polarization to our nation. We're totally arguing it's whether something's true or not, and it's a big thing. Like, is America still racist? Because if we are, we need to change. If we're not, then how do we stop these individuals from acting in their racist outbreaks? Now, this officer, I don't know his name. I know he must be on the news everywhere now because he did something wrong, and he's being, I believe, the last picture I saw of him was a mugshot, so he must be getting arrested or tried, I guess, in our court of law. But I'm wondering now if he knelt on Mr. George Floyd's neck out of racism, or out of his racist tendencies, or just purely out of his some sort of anger or rage, or something that's just been building up inside of him. Now, let's think about this. I watched a Criminal Minds. No, it's not Criminal Minds. I don't remember the name of this TV show. I watched one episode of it. I couldn't stomach it, but it was essentially about this FBI, or maybe CIA, some governmental agency based in the United States they were forced to start learning about these sociopath, these these outbreaks that these, what's the word for it, serial killers had, where these people just, according to this TV show, they snapped just immediately. Something in their brain just snapped, and they just had a huge outbreak, and they killed people they loved, and they did some horrible things. And I'm wondering if this case of Mr. George Floyd here was a victim of just somebody just snapping for no, something just snapped in their brain, and they just went off, and they killed him. He just decided to knee on his neck and put pressure for some reason. I don't really, there's no proof behind this, but I'm just wondering if that's what happened. I'm wondering if Mr. George Floyd's killer was just an actual racist man who, every time he runs into someone that's not like him, an African American, Asian, Latino, it doesn't matter. He just he always just had these he always said racist things or did racist things. And I'm wondering if Mr. Floyd is just another victim of these crimes, or if he really was he just snapped just out of nowhere, or maybe he just had some sort of rage going on. He just tried to take it out, and that's what I really don't know. It's hard for me to really relate to a racist person, and this is obviously a good thing, just because I really don't know any racist people. People say mean things, the new pop culture, says the N-word all the time, and there's lots of, derogatory, linguistic, epithets, I guess, but is it really racism, or is it just using your words? I mean, I really don't know. And, I'm pulling home now, so I'm going to have to end this podcast soon, but this polarization of America, I mean, saying one thing, this clump of cells has life or it doesn't, saying that America's racist or it's not, I mean, all these polarizing ideas, it really is dividing our country, and a lot of people think that maybe the tipping point is soon to come, or maybe it's never going to happen, but I think a lot of arguments have to be settled for, and I see a lot of groups these days pushing for equality. That's a big thing now, equality, and a less racist system. And I mean, how do you do that? How do you change a system that's racist? I mean, America is the first country to stop slavery. I mean, that is every single country, there's no denying it, throughout history has had slaves, done horrible things, but America is the first country to stop slavery and to almost, I guess, internationalize equality, I guess. I would say that fairly, just because we did end slavery before anybody else, and we've been pushing for it in other countries, and it's still a thing today in other countries. It's a good thing that it's coming to an end, but obviously it should have come to an end sooner, or it never even happened in the first place. But man, if America is racist, that's a huge deal. If a fetus doesn't have humanity, or it does, either way it's a huge deal, because it just shows that the other side is, pushing for some insanity sort of deal, and well, anyways, that's what I'm thinking about the polarization of America. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm not really getting a lot of viewers here, so if you like this video, please, show it to somebody that you think would also like it. That would be awesome. And comment for any other video ideas, or for anything that you thought was interesting, or, a little confusing about in this video. This video should be on a few podcasting platforms, on Spotify, Anchor. Anchor's the website that I've been using to put the podcast on, and it should be on YouTube. I'm going to try to add some sort of like slideshow effects to these podcasts for YouTube, just to make it a little more visual aiding, I guess. Alright, well, thank you guys.